And welcome to another edition of the Lock and Load Show, the first 2019 show. Prepper's Corner here this week. It's been a whole brand new year the last few days. I don't know how people are doing. I was just wanted to round up some of my preps and stuff. I had gotten a couple of these babies for they're just for like $2 for $8 off the Sportsman Guide. Flashlights, the angular French military flashlights. They got a belt clip on the back, and they come with a red and blue gel. Just put the red gel in one, and the other one I kept clear. And it's got like a button on the side where you can just activate it momentary for like Morse code signaling or something. And what I had told everybody, no, we lost Oklahoma, is that when I got them, I put in some D cells because they work off 2 D cells. I went to my utility closet, threw in 2 D cells, and it didn't work. And I was like, oh my God, there's something wrong with the flashlights. But then I looked at the batteries that I put in, and they had expired in March 2013. So here we are in 2019. They were like 6-year-old batteries. They expired 6 years ago, so there wasn't anything left. So I went out and bought some new batteries. So I was going to suggest that everybody check your utility closet. If you got a bunch of old batteries, get some new ones. So that's like first prepper point. Okay. I don't know if people have been following Oklahoma Prepper's video. I'll wait till he gets back, but he got his first score with a crossbow. And it looks like venison is on the menu over there in Oklahoma. Right. I'm going to do a screen share of a page. I don't know if Squib can see it, but it doesn't matter. There's nothing really. I'll just tell him what's on it if I can find it myself. Yeah, here it is.
I'll try to look over to my right here. I got the phone sitting on the armrest.
All right. Screen share button. I'll read it. That's most important. Chinese admiral wants to, quote, sink 2 U.S. aircraft carriers, unquote, over South China Sea. And they've got their little 9 dashes that encompass the entire South China Sea and go right up to the Philippines. And let's see, I guess they're playing good cop, bad cop with President Xi Jinping and let's see, mere days after Chinese President Xi vowed to resolutely defend China's security interests, a veiled reference to maintaining its domination over the South China Sea, News Australia, I guess, has published details from a speech delivered 2 weeks ago by one of China's leading military commanders, where he outlined strategy to rebuff U.S. Navy should it take in an even more interventionist posture within the 9 dash line. Which is, I guess, they drew 9 dashes around the South China Sea and said, that's our ocean. Rear Admiral Liu Yuan told an audience in Shenzhen, all right, Chinese pronunciation, that the simmering dispute, I gotta read, hard to read through these dark sunglasses. The simmering dispute over the East and South China Seas could be decisively ended by sinking 2 U.S. aircraft carriers. I know Russia and China have these hypersonic missiles that the OMB said the U.S. has no defense for at the moment, but their goal is obviously they want to be able to invade Taiwan. And I just don't see how sinking 2 U.S. carriers would help them get like 1 million troops into troop transports and sail them across the Taiwan Straits without being hit by either torpedoes or harpoon missiles like in the middle of the strait and drowning. I mean, if they were going to be nice, they would sink them near the Chinese coast so they could swim to shore and not all drown in the ocean. But if they don't know how to swim, I don't see how, even if they were to somehow magically sink 2 U.S. aircraft carriers with hypersonic missiles, that would like enable some really slow troop transport ships to land any troops into Taiwan. But in any way, that's what I wanted Squib's opinion on. Let's see. Taiwan's Central News Agency reported that Admiral Liu gave a long speech on the state of Sino-U.S. relations where he declared that the trade spat was, quote, definitely not simply friction over economics and trade, but a prime strategic issue. And that if China wants the U.S. to back off, it must be willing to attack U.S. ships when they intrude in Chinese territory, meaning the South China Sea. So, let's see. During this December 20th speech to the 2018 Military Industry List Summit, Liu declared that China's anti-ship, ballistic, and cruise missiles were capable of hitting U.S. carriers, even when they were in the middle of a bubble of defensive escorts. What the United States fears most is taking casualties, unquote, Admiral Liu declared. He said the loss of one supercarrier would cost the U.S. the lives of 5,000 servicemen, and sinking two would double that. Quote, we'll see how frightened America is. That would be pissed off if you sank two carriers, but I don't think we would be frightened. I don't know, maybe some people would. Like people in California would be frightened or something. I don't know. The news media would go crazy. But... All right, so what do you think of that one, Squib?
If I was DJ Trump, I'd pick up the phone and call the Chinese president and be like, hey, do yourself a favor, man. Go see your neighbors over in Japan and ask them what happens when you sink some big American boats. And I'm not trying to dredge up bad relations from the Japanese Empire, which is non-existent. But, I mean, if you think sinking a couple really big American ships will get America to run away scared, just look at history. We don't take kindly to that. I mean, hell, go back to the Spanish-American War when the Maine blew up. So...
Remember the Maine.
Mm-hmm. Here's the thing. If they took the carrier and anchored it within range, just set it anchored, got everybody off the ship, and said, all right, have at it. Hit it with everything you got. They would literally have to hit it with everything they got to sink it. They're big, they're compartmentalized, and they're armor-plated. A lot of ships today don't have armor. Carriers still do. They're very, very durable. They're so big and they're so durable. It's partly because you've got to get them to last 50 years to make them pay for themselves. It's also you don't want the ship to sink because it's such an investment. Empty, it's a fortune. Loaded down with troops and aircraft, it's a real big fortune. So if you got rid of the defensive ring, if you got rid of the aircraft, if you got rid of the carrier's defensive systems alone, if you got rid of all the maneuverability and just literally anchored the thing and said, here, have at it, they'd embarrass themselves because it cost them everything they got to sink it.
Yeah, well, I think my point was that wouldn't, even if they did, it wouldn't help them get like a troop transport with troops loaded on it through the Taiwan Straits and then be able to land troops on Taiwan. I mean, all it would take is a missile boat with Harpoon missiles. I mean, literally like a very fast PT boat with Harpoon missiles on it.
So let's just say that they increased the size of their Navy, they increased their offshore weapon systems, and they were a real potential threat to our Navy navigating over there. And either through attrition, we lost enough ships, or through some sort of order coming down from the DOD saying don't operate over there. If we were that worried that Taiwan was going to get invaded, don't you think we could just load troops up in C-5 Galaxies and fly them right into Taiwan, land them at the airport, deploy them out on the shore, and just say, come on, bring it? I mean, they really don't stand a chance against us if they want to attack our allies, unless they could probably find some way to dissolve our alliance with Taiwan. I mean, if there was some way that they could convince us that we were better off just letting it go through some diplomacy or, I don't know, bad press or something.
Basically, where it's been left for decades is the one China policy, where we've agreed that there's only one China, and Taiwan and China, but any unification would have to be accomplished diplomatically and peacefully,
right,
not through the use of force. But there's only one China, so it's just a question
Taiwan's
of.
still our ally, though, even though they call themselves the Republic of China and they're the old government from before it went commie. They're still our ally.
Well, I would say that I guess they're a very needy ally. They're the only reason they don't get invaded is because of U.S. technology. Really, I mean,
think of it like this: Taiwan is the Israel of Asia. How's that?
I don't know if that comparison works. There's just too many differences between. I mean,
that's
Jewish
not really
people
true
like,
because
Jewish people like
we're
Chinese food, but that's about as far as I'll go with that one.
we're tight with Japan. We're tight with South Korea. So, I mean, we got friends over there in Australia and New Zealand. I don't know what our relationship is with Malaysia and some of those other countries down there. Vietnam, Thailand, Cambodia.
Well, my
things
point
are getting repaired, but
Iran is building a stealth go fast boats to defeat U.S. missile tracking. So they basically want their go fast boats to be like all stealthed out now. I guess they're working on that. But again, it's just as far as crossing. I mean, basically. It's not like they could do a sneak attack. If they're going to load like 1 million troops onto troop transports in a port somewhere, satellite surveillance is going to detect that before they leave the port. So there's no way they could do a surprise attack. And just, again, getting troop transports across the Taiwan Straits against attack subs, missile boats, patrol missile boats, and even land-based harpoon missiles is just they're just going to wind up swimming in the ocean, the whole Chinese army, if they do that. And
so we keep a carrier task force over there with an amphibious readiness group attached to it at all times. They rotate them in, rotate them out. It's called a Westpac, a Western Pacific. Even though I know that's the Far East, whatever, but they call them Westpacs. And they're all over down there. They're not just hanging out in Australia drinking and partying or hanging out in Japan drinking and partying. They're all over there, and they rotate them in and rotate them out. We also keep maritime pre-positioning ships in the Indian Ocean that keep combat supplies that can keep us supplied for weeks if for some reason we were cut off. We have Army, Navy, Marines, Air Force in Japan. Stationed in Japan. So they're ready to go. So, and also we could deploy from the United States. We've got transports that can fly over there nonstop, and we've got bombers that can fly over there nonstop. More or less, we've got all of the bases covered as far as being able to deploy over there at a moment's notice and being able to do the job. They know that. They can just keep making all these threats, but that's all they are. They're threats. I don't think they realize that DJ Trump is not going to back down. Maybe Obama would have, but...
Well, it's not America that's scared. It's all the other countries that are scared shitless. Because the China is a lot closer to, the Vietnam, Philippines, Japan, Taiwan... I mean,
any of those countries that we are allied with, we will rush to their defense. Any president who would let that go is going to make a lot of problems for America in the future.
Right. Okay. Well, enough about that one.
I'm not trying to do. You wanted my opinion. I'm not trying to,
yeah.
debunk what you're saying, but I wouldn't lose any sleep over it. We'll kick their ass.
Okay. That's good to know.
The official policy of the Marine Corps is we'll kick their ass.
Okay. That's good policy. All right. Now that we've got that problem solved, now that we've solved the China problem,
Yeah, I mean,
obviously they want.
diplomacy right here on Lock and Load every Monday night.
Okay. Let's see. I can stop presenting this now. All right. Problem solved on that one.
Check
So
mark.
did you want to explain the whole thing about the 2A rally you attended and why somebody had a question why you weren't open carrying at the 2A or something? Amendment.
So in Pittsburgh, that nut job shot up that Jewish synagogue. And because of that, the mayor of Pittsburgh decided, to hell with Pennsylvania state preemption law. I'm going to create an illegal law in the city that says semi-autos are outlawed. All semi-autos are outlawed, I believe it is. He was going to classify all semi-autos as an assault weapon, and assault weapons would be banned. I'm paraphrasing, so it's a little bit more technical than that, but I'm just the basics.
So, like this pistol would be an assault weapon? I
think it was anything that was semi-automatic.
Okay, so Glock 17.
But see, there's a straight state preemption law, like a lot of states have preemption, that says a city cannot make a law that supersedes a state law. So they would have to ban them statewide or something like that in order to make it work. Now, we've seen in the past where some of these cities go to hell with state law, to hell with federal law. We've seen where states go to hell with federal law, and they just do what they want. When nobody fights them, they win. When you fight them, you stand a chance of keeping them from doing this. Even when you fight them and lose, it's still better to fight than to roll over. They tried this in Erie, Pennsylvania, and it got fought. And the mayor of Erie was defeated, and they did not pass this BS law and why Harrisburg wouldn't come down on Erie or Pittsburgh and go, hey, we're the capital, we make these laws, you don't. I don't know. It probably has something to do with their screwed up governor. So what we did was the PAFOA, the Pennsylvania Firearms Owners Association, wanted to have a rally today from noon to 3, and they got their feelers out there a couple weeks in advance, and it was open for anybody to come. I was able to make it. I had some circumstances change, and I was able to make it. I'd like to thank Dusty for helping to make those circumstances change, because the money I spent on diesel today is what the butcher would have cost, and he showed me how to butcher the deer I shot a couple weeks ago, and that freed up the funds for me to be able to travel down there and back. So thank you, Dusty. Anyhow, what's that?
I was just going to ask how many pounds of meat you got from the hunting.
Dusty and I split it. We got about 35 pounds of meat together off the deer. So
35 pounds, you split that 2 ways. Okay.
Yeah. A lot more than me.
So, well, I hit it in the neck, so I didn't destroy any meat there in the midsection or shoulder. And I also took the ribs off of it and slow cooked those. Ribs. So, I mean, we did all right. Could have been a bigger deer, but I'm not complaining. So, anyhow, I was able to make it, and I didn't want to say anything until after I had cleared it with my wife, my boss, and whether or not I got a deer, because I was figuring I was going to be shelling out some money to the deer processor, and he said, no, I'll show you how to do it. So once all those things, I said, all right, I'll go. Well, and I started hearing from people in Pennsylvania all these horror stories about Pennsylvania, and the more I heard, the more I was not going to go. But then at a certain point, I go, no, I'm not going to live in fear. I'm going. The problem is there's a state law that says you cannot transport a pistol in your vehicle in any way, shape, or form unless you have a concealed pistol license. That means that if you put the pistol in a case with no ammunition at all in the vehicle, it's by itself in the case, in the trunk, and you do not have a concealed pistol license from Pennsylvania or from a state that they have reciprocity with, you are a felon. That is jacked up. Now, the exception to the law for residents, and I'm assuming non-residents, is if you're transporting it to or from the gun shop, 2 are from a gunsmith, 2 are from a range, or 2 are from a hunting activity. So if I was to drive it over to the rally, or I was driving over to a friend's house, I would be violating the law there. Okay, fine. I won't bring a handgun. I'll just bring my rifle. Oh, can't bring a rifle. Why not? The governor signed an emergency order. There's a state of emergency in the entire state of Pennsylvania due to the rampant drug problem. Really, dude? So without a concealed carry permit that is recognized by the state of Pennsylvania, you cannot open carry a long gun in the state of Pennsylvania as long as the state of emergency is in effect. So you're going to tell me you're going to come up with this bogus state of emergency to prevent people from carrying openly without a concealed carry permit. That doesn't make a lick of sense. Not to mention, if you think about it, as the governor of a state, would you want to embarrass your state by saying, don't come here for tourism, don't come here for commerce? We've got a drug problem. I mean, really?
Let me chime in for just a second, Squib. I don't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead, please.
But as a former law enforcement officer, wouldn't it be safe to say, I think this entire country has got a damn drug problem?
So you want to do a national state of emergency?
I mean, no. I mean, what I'm saying is, it's so ridiculous. It's ridiculous that, I mean, that's 90% of what people anywhere are getting locked up for is damn drug problem.
Well, he's using it as the reason for having the state of emergency.
It sounds like he's trying to pull anything out of thin air so he can pass some blue laws.
Okay, somebody asked what rifle you took the deer with, Split.
I shot it with a Henry Big Boy. Both deer this year I got with a Henry Big Boy.
And that was what caliber?
First one I got with a 44 Special plus P plus hand load that I made myself. The second one I got with a 44 Magnum factory load.
All right. Question asked, question answered.
So I was going to open carry today. I believe that if you go to these rallies and the state law allows you to open carry, you should, if you can, because you're showing the people out there, look, here I am. Here I am with a gun strapped to my hip. Here I am with my scary black rifle, and I'm not doing anything. I'm no harm to you. I'm no threat to you. I'm not pointing it at people. I'm not muzzling people. I'm not threatening people. I'm not shooting anyone. I'm not the bad guy. Taking this gun away will not stop the bad guy. All you're going to do is weaken our nation. The law-abiding citizens are sick of paying for the crimes of these scumbags, and we're sick of the negligence of our government by restricting us but not restricting them. And that's why I believe open carrying at these rallies is a good idea. Now, if somebody's uncomfortable doing it, don't do something you're uncomfortable doing. Or if they've got some BS law and you don't have the means to work within that law like I did, and you don't want to risk anything, don't risk anything. I'm not going to call you a coward for not risking it. I totally get that. I have kids at home that are counting on me to provide for our family, and I'm not going to get arrested and go to jail and not be able to provide for my family. So, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I understand the whole, I'm not comfortable going to a rally, I'm not comfortable carrying a gun, but if you can, and it's allowed, I strongly urge you to do it.
You fucking people, you have no idea how to defend a nation. All you did was weaken a country today, Caffrey.
Well, you know what Uncle Jack said was true, though. But
Sweet
that's just
dreams,
it, though.
Son.
Some people are like, only carry a handgun, don't carry a long gun. No, absolutely carry a long gun. Look, here it is. It's slung over my back, and I'm not doing anything. How's that for your karma, pal?
News break, nothing happened.
Right. The bad guys are not going to openly carry their guns. They're going to conceal carry their guns. But that doesn't mean that I think you should get rid of conceal carry. I don't. I don't think you should get rid of it at all just because that's the way the bad guys operate.
Yeah, the guys who deal drugs on the corner don't go like take a concealed carry class. They don't.
I'm going to tell you right now, that trailer hitch sticking out of the back of my truck has done more damage than any of my guns have.
Your trailer hitch?
Yeah, that receiver hitch sticking out of the back end of my truck has done more
You ever
damage.
run into one of those?
Oh my goodness. I'd rather get shot 6 times than to hit one of those with my shin.
But for anybody who's thinking that I was going to open carry today because I was afraid, I wasn't afraid. Not even if I did see snipers on the roof, okay, which I think is just ridiculous. But there was scuttlebutt going around that the Pittsburgh SWAT team was going to be up on the roof, on the roofs of the surrounding buildings with snipers ready to react. You know, it's like, what? You know,
to what?
come on. Yeah, that's just it, right? And they're there to protect us. And it's like, okay, I'm okay with you there to protect us. Just don't intimidate us. Don't harass us. Well, they didn't. They didn't intimidate us. They didn't harass us. They were very professional. Everything was different than any other rally I've gone to. It was peaceful. It was uneventful. The speakers were well said. There were a few things I didn't agree with. There's a few things where it's like, guys, your facts are a little exaggerated. Your facts are a little off. You might want to do a little fact checking because we can't expect the other side to speak the truth if we exaggerate stuff. I know where they were going with it, but with the exception of a few minor exaggerations, they were spot on, and it was a pretty good one. And I really liked the turnout. I liked seeing the people there open carrying. I didn't have to have somebody next to me open carrying, so I felt safe. And I liked all the signs that were up. I liked all the flags. There were some people were there in camo, some were in body armor. I mean, it was a little bit of everything. You know, they even pointed out, hey, look, there's a black guy in the crowd. How can we all be in the KKK and let him hear? I'm like, well, there's more than one black guy in the crowd. But, you know, it was all kinds of people from all over. At one point, he did ask the people who come from other states to raise their hands, and there were a lot of people to raise their hands. I know people from Ohio, Michigan, and New York came to Pennsylvania. So, and we're there for the people in Pennsylvania who had to work that day and couldn't show up, because I totally get that. So, it was a good thing. I think we need more rallies. I think we need them more often, and I think we need more people going. And I think as they gain momentum, you'll see more and more people who don't speak up start to speak up, because I think gun owners and pro-Second Amendment people and conservatives in America are the silent majority. We're the majority. We're just silent, and we need to stop being silent. And I get the people that are afraid of persecution from the law. They're afraid of losing their job. They're afraid of their family. I get that. But find a way to work within that to make your voice heard or do something. Maybe you contribute money behind closed doors and you don't go to rallies, or I don't know what it is, but there's got to be a way to make your voice heard without fear of some sort of backlash from somebody that's close to you that could affect your life.
Yeah, support some of the legal action. You could join the FPC, the GOA. There's all kinds of, I mean, if the NRA is in your cup of tea, there's plenty of other organizations, the Second Amendment Foundation, Florida Carry. If you're not comfortable open carrying and flag waving at Second Amendment rallies in your state for some reason because of some silly state laws or whatever, there's other stuff you could do. Anyway, so now that we've answered why wasn't Squib packing a minigun at this rally or whatever,
if it was legal for me to be open carrying and I was aware of the law, I would be open carrying. Yes. That's not just Pennsylvania, that's anywhere I would go to a rally. As long as I'm not violating the law, I'm still a law-abiding citizen, I will open carry.
Yeah, when I was in Arizona, I carried, I mean, it was concealed carry. I mean, I wasn't hiding it, but it was under my shirt, a Glock 30. And the only time I didn't carry is when I went out at night to just drink whiskey in a bar. Because in my personal opinion, for me, whiskey and Glocks don't go together well. If I'm going to go out in public and go out drinking, then I'm just going to leave the Glock in the suitcase or in the safe or something. Other than that, I was carrying a pistol around everywhere else. And nothing happened. It was
pretty much.
it was boring.
If it became an everyday thing to know that anywhere you go, you could open or conceal carry, and people did so, and you're looking around going, I don't know who's got something tucked under their shirt, and then people who been a threat, because bad guys aren't going to do that. The element of surprise is how they get what they want. If it became commonplace everywhere and legal to do, and just everybody was comfortable with it, not only would you see crime go down, but I think you'd see a lot more people that would be willing to speak up and say, yeah, I'm pro-gun.
It was really funny. As I was coming home from Whiskey Row Pub in Prescott, Arizona, I wasn't carrying any firearms, but I was walking up the road. It was like 2 a.m, whenever the bars closed or whatever, and there was a pretty single lady walking in front of me down the side street, and I said, hey, I'm behind you. I don't want to like startle you or anything, because I didn't want to startle her. Especially, I wanted her to know that I was there, because anybody could be carrying perfectly legal, and so I just like, hey, don't be afraid. I'm behind you. I'm just walking up the street or something. No need to draw down on me or anything. She said, thanks. Let me know you're there. And it just makes everybody safer. You don't want to sneak up on somebody in the dead of night in a society where people are allowed to protect themselves. It's not smart.
And that's just it. Any restriction on our ability to defend ourselves only empowers the bad guys. It doesn't do anything to reduce crime. If anything, it makes it easier for the bad guys to. And these politicians don't get it. They just got knee jerk, and you've got all these people who don't understand guns, and you got people in this world who are afraid to stand up and defend themselves, and that's their problem. I'd like to see everybody have what it takes to protect their life and the life of their loved ones, but some people just can't do it, and they think we're a bunch of whack jobs.
We have people in the government that don't even understand math, but okay.
Right, yeah, and they or geography, like 57 states. But the whole thing is, just because you aren't willing to protect your family or yourself, or you're afraid, or you don't restrict my rights, sorry, and don't restrict my ability to have safety for my family and all. Just, you know what? If you just want to be that person, fine, be that person. Maybe one day I might save your life if I'm there and I have the means to do it, but I'm also not running around trying to be a vigilante either. And there are people on our side that have good intentions, but they do want to be that vigilante. Or we have people on our side who say some of the dumbest things and embarrass the hell out of us. And we need to, in addition to educating the people who don't understand and don't appreciate and who have fear because they haven't been exposed to something they don't understand, so they're afraid of it, we need to kind of get a hold on our people that are making some of this negative press, that they wouldn't hurt a fly either, but they act like they would. They act like they're out there and they're ready, and it's just.
The last time I committed an act of violence was like in high school when I punched a bully in the nose. Okay, and now I'm 54. I own a lot of guns, but I mean, I haven't shot anybody so far. It's a pretty good record all my life. And I don't plan on shooting anybody in the future, neither. But I will defend myself if I have to.
Yeah, until the government takes that away. And I'm going to step away for a few. I'm going to go ahead and fuel up the truck.
All right.
Thanks for letting me talk on that.
All right. I've been trying to get this movie clips soundbite out, so let's see if I can get it. Okay, got that out. Let's see. Kalen Strings out there, Philo, Joe Z. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Is that an A or an E after the Z?
E.
Ziola. Joe Ziola. Okay. Wait, Michigan CPL is valid in Pennsylvania. It's the cross state lines in an emergency from the opioid crisis. Who knows? I'm in Hawaii. I didn't even know what was going on. Somebody asked me before the show.
His expired. His CPL expired.
Yeah, I think Swift mentioned that as the permit had expired. All right, so I did. Is anybody working on any new preps? Did you get? Was that a new Tavor or X95 that you got there, Rupan?
Oh no, that's a Caltech RDB.
Because I hadn't looked at your video yet. You sent me the link, but I just been trying to get. I've been dealing with other like things around here this last few days.
Or it might have been the MP5. What video did I send you a link to? I'm gonna look it up real quick.
All right, let me see.
It might have been something pertinent to something.
Yeah, let's see. I'm going back to my emails. I have like 30,000 emails in my AOL account that I haven't dealt with one way or the other.
Oh, it was a. That's not mine. That's someone else's.
Someone else.
It's the blind Russian dude.
Blind Russian dude.
The blind Russian dude.
I don't know who that is.
His name's Misha. He's blind.
Oh, is he on Gun Channels, Misha? He's not from Russia.
No.
I thought he's from like Finland or Norway or something.
This is a different Misha. So he put the military spec rail they use on it, and he put like the Tavor grips on it or something, the ones the military uses, and he took the rubber butt pad off and he put the military butt plate on, but then he had to permanently affix the muzzle device because it was under 26 inches. So I just thought it was cool because it looked. He did the Tavor up so it would look much more military.
But you said I thought it was an X95, not a Tavor. I mean.
Yeah, well, I mean he made it look more like the Tavor they're currently using. So it is an X95, but he kind of like he does that a lot. He'll take. So he bought like those what are they, Korean T91 upper receivers, and he bought a. Are they Korean or are they from Singapore? Well, either way.
For a Tavor X95 for a Caltech.
I'm cutting to another. I know Wolf brought in the T91s. I'm just making an example. This guy buys a lot of stuff, and then what he'll do is he'll like make the stuff look more military. So he bought some T91s. And what country is it from? I can't even. This is not a Tavor. This is it's a piston AR. Let me check the chat.
You're the AR guy. You build ARs. I don't. I mean, my 5.56 is a Tavor, and that's it.
What he does is he likes to buy guns and he likes to make them look more like their military counterparts. So I guess
a good hobby.
On the X95, you can get a different rail that looks just like the rail they use in the Army. So
well, I mean, the one that they use in the Army in Israel is full auto, not semi-auto, but
the video should be up there, Philo. Philo's asking about the bullpup. Yeah, I got it a little while ago. It's a what is it? It's Caltech RDB. So it's 5.56, and the cases come out the bottom. Oh, dude, I can't afford military cloning, but Philo said military cloning can be cool. It's one of my favorite things.
Okay, it's supposed to die hard cloning.
Well, I mean, the thing is, if to die hard clone, I wouldn't need an MP5. I'd need an HK94. But the military cloning can be a lot of fun because it's just cloning.
Well, yeah, you'd be more. Rupan is more of a gun builder than I am. I mean, I just buy stuff off the shelf, and I redid all the furniture on my AK, but that's just woodwork, not really.
Yeah, so like if it originally came with some other furniture, he'd get like some surplus correct furniture, or if it came with a different site or something, and just to make it cheaper, they threw whatever site they had, he'd put that site back on there. That's the type of stuff this guy does, and it's pretty interesting. So, like, his Tavor looks real cool just because you're used to seeing it one way and you see his and it looks kind of fancy. It has a shorter rail, which actually does not look very nice. It looks cooler, but I don't think it.
Well, mine has tiger stripes, so that's about all I could do to it.
Yeah, I'm not talking smack. It's just it's cool. The military cloning is something that we're all excited about.
All right. So does anybody have any new preps for 2019 that they're working on? Other than
Yeah,
for me,
I've got a couple that I'm working on right now. Let me turn my camera on so that I can kind of show y'all. Sorry, I look hideous, but that's just the way I look.
yeah, we're used to that.
I know, right? So I fell in love with these things right here. These are called Isadora refried beans in a pouch. These are, you got these at Walmart. These are like $1 for a pack of 15 ounces, so almost a pound of refried beans for $1. And the shelf life on these are about 1.5 years. This one shows best before July of 2020. I'm pretty sure these things could last a couple more years than that.
All my beans are in cans, not bags.
Right. Well, this makes it a lot easier for, just kind of rip open if you don't have a can opener, or if you don't have those pull tops, which, of course everybody should have a can opener in their preps. And I don't really trust those pull tops because they can fracture and they can lose their seal. And that could really end up with a with a bad case of beans.
Botulism or something, yeah.
Yeah.
You have to always
some kind of
before you eat it, check your can to make sure there's no it shouldn't be expanded or damaged in any way before you.
And make sure there's still a vacuum. Yeah. Make sure there's still a vacuum when you pop that top. That's you're dead on. It's still good. Kind of a alert. You're a little alert to let you know it's still good and sealed. But these are not too bad at all. I mean, one of these will last me, one of these will probably last me a couple of days. Just smear some out on a tortilla, put a piece of foil across my wood stove, put a tortilla on there, smear them on there, and roll it up and have at it. And they're pretty good. They're not bad. It's really easy to mess up refried beans, but it's also really easy to fix refried beans. So I mean, they do have a decent flavor. Seems like there's good seasoning in there that they use to season the beans with. Not bad, for $1 for almost a pound of beans. Not bad at all. And it's really easy to make tortillas. All you got to do is get the pre-made flour, the stuff for tortillas, and it works really good. Quick and easy to make. Just a little work. As far as anything else going on, I've not only these, I also have what are those, Uncle Ben's? Uncle Ben's makes a rice that's like this.
They have all kinds. I use that stuff all the time. It's so easy for Spanish rice.
I mean, these the pre-made stuff that all you got to do is open it and heat them.
Yeah, 90 seconds in the microwave.
Yeah, those things. They're not too great, but they're not too bad. In an SHTF situation, you're gonna go out and eat crickets. So I mean, I think these instant beans or these instant rice is pretty welcoming compared to crickets.
You probably boil that in water too. If you don't have a microwave working, you can probably boil it in water to cook it or heat it up anyway.
Exactly.
I like the Uncle Ben stuff a lot.
Yeah, they're not bad. So I've got several of these stocked up. We've had some threats of winter storms coming through. Of course, it snowed and sleeted a little bit and got a little icy for like like a half a day, maybe like 2 hours. So of course Walmart was sold out of everything, and of course today was 73 degrees, so beautiful day. Um, as far as anything else going on, I've got my wood stove, my barrel stove. I'm replacing the barrel here in the next day or two. While we have some decent weather, we won't need it, so I'm going to replace the barrel. Went to the lumber yard today, the hardware store today, picked up some new screws. They are 1024. I think it's what they were. The size of screws were 1024. And I think I grabbed the 1 inch or inch and a half, maybe a little bit overkill, but whatever. I am going to replace the barrel on this barrel stove kit, and it's really easy. All I've got to do is, I'm pretty sure that those old screws were rusted in since it's been there for 3 years and had a lot of fire in them. So I'm going to drill out the screws, completely replace the screws in the flue pipe and the the legs, and put them on a new barrel. The lid is one of them lids that comes off with a band, one of them little cinch type bands. So I'm gonna keep the door and the lid. I guess you could say the lid of the barrel or the front of the stove. I'm just gonna replace. I'm just keep that on there and put it on the new barrel. Get it burned out and get it put back in. Probably, I'd say 10 minutes of any kind of work, really. The hardest part would be burning the barrel out. Throw a bunch of dead grass in there and just set it on fire and let it burn all that paint and everything that's inside of it off, and make sure it's really good and sturdy, and bring it inside and put it back together. As far as that goes, doing some preps of different type as well. I've got, as you guys know, I'm a firefighter. My department, any fire department, if you guys ever, have any wildfires near your place, don't forget about the fire departments, because there's no funding. I'm actually having to take out of pocket and buy my firefighting equipment, my wildland gear, which is not cheap at all. I think the cheapest pair of pants I was able to find was about $130 for one pair of pants. The coat, the cheapest one I was able to find was about $100. So all that stuff's going to have to come out of pocket. Preps me, it allows me to go back to go to school, go to classes, take my classes, and do my live burns, because I have to have it. My firefighting gear has to be under 20 years old and has to be NFPA 1971 compliant, which the equipment that I have is not. But it was free from another department that got new stuff. So if you guys ever need to donate to somebody, donate to the fire departments. They need the money, they do the hard work, and there is no funding. So as far as that kind of stuff going on, just continuing my education, and of course prepping for the apocalypse, which here in Oklahoma, the apocalypse means tornado season is coming. And if you guys have heard about some of the stuff we've had here in Oklahoma, tornado season is not really a spring only type thing. We've actually had tornado watches and warnings last month, didn't we? Yeah, I saw that last year. 2018 was the first year in over a decade that there were no fatalities due to tornadoes, which was a big thing. So depending on your location, where you guys live, your where you guys live in the U.S. or whatever country you guys are in, make sure you're prepping for not just economic collapse, zombies, whatever. Make sure you're prepping for earthquake, tornado, fire, any kind of natural disaster.
Let's bring up another thing that's going around: pandemics. The flu is kicking up. Your mic is like making scratchy sounds a lot. I don't know if it's scratching against your beard or if it's.
I think she's over there sweeping, so I think it's picking up the scratchy sound of her sweeping.
No, it's not that.
Okay, maybe, I don't know. Maybe is it better now?
For the moment, yeah.
For okay.
Now it's back. It's whenever that cable moves. Yeah.
Okay, I'll try not to move. Is that better?
Yeah.
All right. So, Oily, as you guys remember, Oily, the Oily prepper, she had the flu. What about 2 years ago or a year ago? when she I think it was about 2 years ago, Jordan. About a year ago. She is still, believe it or not, she's still recovering off of that. She's having a lot of
Wow.
trouble recovering from that. So that was a pretty bad deal. If you can prevent the flu, do so. It's a really, really bad thing. Didn't realize how bad it was up until we all hear older people or younger people, older elderly people or infants and toddlers, dying from flu symptoms. But it's really getting. It seems like it's getting worse as years progress. Um,
Yeah, my
it's
my dad and mom came out to see me. They took a cruise, and he got something on the cruise ship that I gave him some airborne when I saw them to take with him. But he went to see the doctor. He's back home. Went to see the doctor today. He said it wasn't the flu. They gave him a pneumonia vaccine, but and an antibiotic. He thought it was something else. But I've been hearing that the H1N2, or is it H2N1? I forget. That virus, the hantavirus, is kicking up again. So
yeah.
I've got some of those Curad antiviral face masks that I can. I suppose I could wear it every time I went into Walmart, or I could just not go into Walmart except to pick up my medicine, but once a month.
Yeah, the stomach bug and upper respiratory infections have hit here really hard. So that is also something to take into consideration. You really don't want that stomach bug. I had it a couple years ago, and man, it was horrible. But luckily for me, my immune system is very strong. I did have the flu last year, but I only had it for literally a day. Um, and that's usually how it happens whenever I do get the flu. And rarely do I get it anymore. But the last two times I had it in the last 7 or 8 years, I've only had it for a day, if that. So make sure you guys protect yourself against the flu, stomach bug, upper respiratory infections, pneumonia, thieves oil. Jordan says thieves oil, essential oil is really good at antibacterial, helps with fighting stuff like that. So make sure you take into consideration any type of home remedies or any type of medications that may help boost your immune system, help you fight off any of those ugly infections and viruses.
Yeah. Yeah, Dano, any subtopic. Philo, cruise ships are kind of like a mixing breeding place for all kinds of bad diseases. But my folks took a cruise to Hawaii, and they spent the last night, or not the last night. The last port call was the next to last port call was Hilo. And so I drove over the island to see them, and I hadn't seen them in like a year, and we just had a great old time. And it was just great seeing them. And then they had one more cruise stop in Ensenada, and then they went back home to Long Beach Harbor. They're back home. And so, yeah, they don't know what my dad had. It was, I'll take Present off Oklahoma, but they gave him a pneumonia vaccine. I know there's a lot of people that are against every vaccine, but it's that and some antibiotic, and hopefully he'll get better in the next couple of days, because he's like 83 still, but he's getting up there. And but it was for them. They liked visiting Hawaii. The cruise ship not so much, because there was 12-foot waves on the ocean, and the stabilizers weren't enough in 12-foot waves, and it was cold on the deck in the middle of the Pacific. I mean, not in Hawaii at the port calls, but on the way back to the mainland, it was really cold. So that probably didn't help him, because he tries to walk around the ship every day. I think that he was there for exercise reasons, keep moving, you know. But wow, it was they just wanted to see me really, but they had fun. They visited. They got a lot of great pictures. Maybe able to share some from the Aviation Museum of the Pacific. They're going to send me a DVD of their pictures, so that ought to be cool to check out. Let's see. Yeah, so Dano, I think the link is in the Gun Channel site. I put it there. On the gunchannels.com/HBS. I'll copy it again and just post it right there on the gunchannels.com/HBS. If this thing will let me copy. Yeah, it will. Because there you go. So if you log into Gun Channels, it'll be there on the page where I post my stuff, my Hangouts. All right. There was what was there? Some Uber news. Oh yeah, my folks took Uber back from the cruise ship, and they said it was great. The guy was there within 10 minutes, and they had on the way when they went to get to the cruise ship, they had booked a limo. The limo guy didn't show up. They called Uber. Uber showed up, you know, like almost right away. So the limo guy got lost or something and never found their house. So I don't know how you can get lost if somebody gives you an address and you plug it into one of those map programs. But such is life. Let's see. Yeah, I gave my folks some a bottle when they got off the ship. I had a bottle of Airborne for them. I just had some old chewable tablets. Now they make Airborne in gummies, but they said it helped. Well, you know, prepping, cruise ship, whatever.
Yeah, it's now that you mentioned that Airborne, that is a good prep for any type of infection or bacteria. It's high in vitamin D and other vitamins to help boost your immune system to help fight off stuff like that.
Yeah, I think the herbs help a lot too that are in it. But boy, it's the writing is so small on the package. It's like even with my reading glasses, I could barely read what's in it. At least off the bottle. But that just happened to be what I had. And so like when I drove over, you know, before I hopped in the Blazer to drive from Kona to Hilo, I just grabbed some from the vitamin cupboard and threw it in my pocket and headed on over. So it was, it was something. It was something so they could have some kind of medicine to get them through the rest of the cruise.
I got a question on that topic. Is that the sort of thing that like let's say if you're going on a trip, whether it be on a boat or by car, you're supposed to take, let's say, a few days before you actually start traveling and then continue to take it until a few days after you're done traveling, or how does that work?
Hell if I know it, but it usually helps. I think it's I don't know if it's there's echinacea in it or whatever, but my experience is that if you have it, it helps. If you have some kind of bug, if you feel it coming on, if I take it, it helps a little. It doesn't necessarily stop you from getting it, but it seems to give me relief when I take it. If I have something, but I happen to be healthy right now, so I don't really need it. But given that the flu is like, I guess with what I'm hearing about the flu epidemic, I'll probably take it before I go to Walmart every day. I mean, I don't go to Walmart more than once or twice a month, but it's like a mask might do you more good. One of those I'll go get the exact one out of the cupboard that I have, so I can show it to you. But that might help more. Squib, I'm going to put you on mute because your car's making all kind of noise. Oh, he put himself on mute.
I was also curious how good the shelf life is. Is that something that, like, ideally you'd prep a dozen of them or something?
The gummies, I'm not sure.
Well, like the powder that you put in just water and drink it.
They have one of those. I have one of the powders, but I've never used it. It's just sitting in my cupboard. I usually use the chewable, but now that they have the gummies, those are my favorite. So, but I'm gonna go get one of those Curad antiviral face masks that like kills the virus. Give me 1 sec.
Yep.
Yeah, the gummies are my favorite too. I got like a 5-pound bag.
Dan,
Yeah, I would think that they'd be less preppable because of the sugar in it.
Yeah, we
It's
used
kind of
all
like
of
candy.
ours.
It's like, versus putting it on the side for, let's say, some date in the future.
Could you vacuum seal it?
All right. Let's get this thing over here.
I assume you could, but sometimes it's the stuff that's already in the product that creates the issue.
And they took a nosedive.
But I don't know, which is why I asked the question.
All right. Here we go. Let me get my angular flashlight. Is this the red one? This is the red one. Here's the clear one. Oh, we don't really need a flashlight. You can get these off of Amazon. I don't know if you can read that or it all looks backwards. Does it look backwards or can you read that?
Antiviral face mask includes swine flu and bird flu. Comfortable design.
Yeah, it actually kills the virus if it goes through this face mask. So basically, you can get these off of Amazon or probably they sell something like it at Walmart. I don't know if they sell this particular brand, but this will help a lot. Airborne, like if you go into a hospital, they'll usually give you something like this to wear if you're in a ward where there's a lot of sick people, which is like all the wards. But these are my new military flashlights that I got, the angled Milsurp ones, and
It's a kind of a cool old school Vietnam era kind of flashlight.
These are French. The British call them torches, but these are French, and they come with red or blue gels under the cap here, screw where you put in the batteries, and you do need 2 D cells for these. And so I was saying earlier that people need to check their batteries in their utility closet, because when I got these, mine were expired in March 2013, so I have to go get new batteries for it.
It looks like a USGI.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I got issued the same ones.
It's French Milsurp, and it's got, let's see.
If it says Fulton on the side, it's American.
TL1220FR. It doesn't say Fulton on the side.
Something
Okay,
that
because they're the manufacturer for the American one.
because we all have the same shaped hands. That's why they all tend to look the same way.
Right. Let's see. It says, well, I can read it. It has the FR for France, I think, on one side.
The FR at the bottom.
And the other side, it has 2 flags. I don't know what that means. T for torch. Or T for...
Fancy schmancy.
They were $8 for both of them. $4 each off of Sportsman's Guide. So I was like, what the hell? That's 2 extra flashlights there. It's not my dream, like 65,000 lumen flashlight, but for $8,
I think you can get LED bulb replacements for those.
Well, there's one replacement bulb inside here. Unscrew the bottom. And
Yeah, it's a PR2 bulb.
there's gels and if you unscrew this part, there's there's gels right in here, and but there's a bulb on if you unscrew this part of it. You take off the part where the battery is, you can unscrew it a little more, and there's a bulb in there. So, but yeah, if you need more, okay, say again what was the name of the replacement bulbs?
Papa Romeo 2, PR2.
PR2, okay.
Yeah. So
I
yeah, if
believe
you find
you
an
can
LED,
get an LED bulb.
replacement, yeah, like what Jared's saying, get an LED equivalent that fits a PR2, and you'll be really surprised how bright it'll be.
Oh, okay, an LED replacement for these. That might be a good idea.
Hey Jared, doesn't Maglite make that lamp in LED?
Maybe. I think I threw mine away because they at Clothing and Sales they sold some seriously powerful flashlights. So I was like, what am I gonna need this piece of plastic for? But they ended up breaking everybody's balls one day and doing a full basic issue layout. And for people who did not have all of it, they gave them statements of charges. Some people threw out the Camelbacks, like the general issue Camelbacks, and they got charged for that shit.
They threw them out? Why would they throw out Camelbacks?
Stuff got really jacked up after basic, and if you didn't DX it, then some people. I was like 10 of them in the trash. I don't know why they would think about doing that, but those people got statement.
Or the carrier?
The carrier itself, like, and the bladder. They just threw it all out.
Oh, okay.
Because it was
I can see the bladder because sometimes it gets funky.
Mm-hmm.
And see, they didn't pay for it, and they say, I'm never going to use this, and they're young, and they're not thinking, and next thing you know, you're marching down to the uniform shop to buy replacement gear.
It was made very clear to me that anything you're given, if you don't return it, you will be buying it and not getting it.
They didn't make that clear everywhere I went. I found out, but, I mean, it was nice that you could at least buy the gear at government cost.
I guess just like in the real world, not everybody's learns quick.
Well,
yeah, like I said, when you're young, you're not thinking.
You can clean
Camelbacks, but whatever.
As far as that flashlight thing goes, I've got one. It's kind of similar to that. It's the head on it actually swivels. It pivots to angle like those torches, and I've got one. Mine I got just like that. Mine I got from Walmart. It's an Energizer brand. I think it takes 2 AA. It's a LED, and the top button is bright, dim, and off. The bottom button is red and green, I believe, LED. And I have that thing strapped to my bunker coat for when I go do internal on fires. If I have to go inside, so it's pretty good. I mean, I've only had to change the batteries out this year. Actually, I changed the batteries out a couple weeks ago for the first time in like 3 years, which goes to show how much firefighting I actually have to do.
Yeah, well, I was saying everybody needs to go update their batteries because it's a new year, and when I went, mine were dead, so they were useless. And when you go and buy a thing about, because like batteries or something, you go to Costco, you buy like a big thing of D batteries, throw them in your closet, and then forget about it. And then when you need them, it's like 5 or 6 or 7 years later, they're dead.
Yeah. See, they actually come out. I think I saw on one of the firefighter groups on Facebook that you can actually get those. I don't know if they're replicas, but they're not. I don't think they're Milsurp. But you can actually pick those that same style, that same look, design, everything. You can pick those up at Tractor Supply for like $10, and I've been wanting to get one. And for Streamlight makes flashlights like that are just like that. They're of course rechargeable, but because the name on it, Streamlight, those things are about $200 a piece. So $10 at Tractor Supply or Walmart for a knockoff version, kind of the same style, is a lot cheaper than $200 for a flashlight that, if you lose fire, it gets burned up and you're out of luck.
Yeah. I have a Siege from Streamlight and it stopped working, and I have not got around to calling Streamlight about it yet. I suppose I have to because it no longer works.
Hey, I tell you what, Streamlight products, I love Streamlight. They're 100% guaranteed, lifetime warranty. Just get, you.
Well, I guess I'm gonna have to call them up then. You're roboting.
They'll do. Oh, I'm roboting.
Yeah, unless it's just me.
I had a Streamlight TLR4 on my Glock for about 3 years, and then this past year I ended up upgrading it to an Olight PL2 Mini, which actually has it's a magnet charger. You just attach it like to your USB port on your computer, and then the other end on the bottom of your weapons light, and it charges it. And so I gave my TLR4, which is meant for a subcompact pistol, to my son, which of course it fit on his just fine, even though it was a different make and model. But it's been perfectly fine the whole time. I got a really great price on it. I really like the idea that it recharged. I didn't have to be dinking around with batteries, and it uses a standard USB configuration as far as plugging in. It doesn't have a special cord. I could use a cord for my phone to charge it if I wanted to.
Yeah, I wanted to get a Zendur battery. I saw it. It's Canadian Prepper talked about it, and but I went to Amazon and they don't ship them to Hawaii because I guess they're lithium batteries and they can't airmail them or can't get the post office to do lithium batteries. And it sucked because like for $99 it had like almost every kind of outlet attachment on it, and it was a pretty big battery and a lot of capacity. And I was like, damn, Amazon won't ship them to Hawaii.
This is my Streamlight DS. The DS stands for dual switch. I've got a switch right here and a switch in the tail cap. The charger is pretty good. The battery's pretty good on this thing. I actually had a problem with this, and I did send it back to Streamlight. They fixed it, and I got it back. It took a little time, but it was worth it. Completely free to send it in and get it worked on. And because these things are made to last, if they don't last for some reason, you can send them back. But they're worth a lot of money. But they're worth a lot of money. I mean, they're expensive, but they're worth it. I've had this thing for close to 8 years. I think I've had this thing for 8 years, and I've only had one problem with it. And like I said, sent it in, they fixed it, and sent it back to me. Streamlight is a really good company, but like I said, it's expensive. I think this one, the charger and an extra battery was like $200 and something. So
you guys motivated me to get off my ass and send my Siege Lantern back to Streamlight. So I'll do that next week or so.
Do it.
Well, and speaking of, did you say that handheld one? Is that a Streamlight or an Olight? Oklahoma.
This is a Streamlight Stinger. This one is the Stinger DS dual switch.
Okay, yeah, because I have an Olight Striker M1X, something like that. It's a 500 lumen handheld, similar to yours, but it was, I want to say it was around $50, but it has that dual switch where there's one up by the lens, but there's also a tail switch as well if you want to use that. And it's 500 lumens, which for me is perfectly fine. Does everything I need to, and I've had really good luck with Olights in general. And I have another Olight, which I won't go into because the subject hasn't come up.
Yeah, this is a Bushnell I got more than a few years ago. It replaced my similar light to what HVS had.
Angled.
So, yeah, it's kind of specific, but it works pretty well.
It's a
The
square.
downside is the downside is it takes CR 123s.
Well, that's a good. Those are temperature resistant batteries. CR1. I like those CR123s. They just cost a little more, but I mean you can get them for cheap, like from Battery Junction or someplace like that online.
If you're willing to go the rechargeable route, they do 123s do come as rechargeable if you're willing to buy and go down that road. But I understand that's not everybody necessarily doesn't care for that route.
Well, I just bought like a huge pack of them, but they'll slowly drain on the flashlight, which is a problem I have with some flashlights.
Sounds like a
Do
problem
you think
with
it
the
was some sort of
flash.
vampire connection on it?
Yeah, either that or I mean, it doesn't really happen with the CR 123s, but
Yeah, they're not that expensive. You get them for $1 a piece online, so or 99 cents.
this is kind of silly if you take a look at these. These are Streamlight batteries.
They must charge a lot more for the batteries with that name on it.
And I got a Streamlight in my car, that little pen light they have that takes I think it takes 2 AAAs. And
Is that the one that
Streamlight-
would like fit in like a pen pocket sort of thing?
It's got to be a little bit bigger of a pen pocket, but yeah,
Maybe
it will.
5 inches long.
Yeah, it's about 5. It takes 2 AAAs.
Yeah,
I've
I
that
think
for
I've had that
years.
exact same one. I loved it and I used it every day for doing the driving that I do until I lost it.
Oh no!
But I loved it while I had it. It was great.
Yeah, I
Wow.
still it's a dedicated car flashlight for me. And it's
I'm gonna have to
amazing.
work on my car preps later in the year, but
Oh, car preps! I have insane car preps.
Yeah, I got a lot of car preps, but anything that contains a battery has to come indoors with me by the end of the night. Otherwise, it will kill the battery given enough time. And normally when I need it the most, that's when it tends to kill it.
I had
Yeah.
some issues with car preps the other night. Like I said, we had the little threat of some snowy and icy weather coming in, and the lady, she had to go to work, and she works evening shift, 3 to 11, and I I got the bug out bag, threw a bunch of told her to put a bunch of clothes in there, regular clothes, because she has to wear business clothes to work, and I told her to put some jeans, some warm socks, and tennis shoes and jackets. Threw a couple extra jackets and stuff in there, and then put a gallon Ziploc bag full of cat litter, and told her how to use it if she got stuck in the ice, and told her to drive slow over the curves and over the bridges as straight as possible. And she was aggravated with me by the time she actually had to leave to go to work. She kept telling me, "Shut up, she's got it."
Yeah, well, it's I don't know if it's just a general cultural change, but that sort of information doesn't necessarily get handed down from like father to daughter, father to son sort of a thing, which used to be a traditional thing. Like I did that with my son, as far as you take those older clothes that you're thinking about throwing away and you keep that extra pair of pants, that extra cold weather flannel shirt, that extra jacket that you don't like that's out of style, that pair of boots that might be a little bit too loose or whatever. Or that shovel that's taken up, that's too small or whatever, or a trowel, whatever you can do that. Put them in the trunk and put them in a box. They stay in they go in come November and they come out at the end of March.
Yeah, simple stuff like that. I mean, just a couple extra, things that you're, like you said, that jacket that's out of style that nobody wants to, wear because it's outdated. That's still going to keep you warm if something happens and that's the only thing you've got. I mean, a lot of people don't realize small stuff like that is going to make a big difference when you need it.
And I think part of it is also, whether you were raised in a northern climate versus a southern. I mean, because you get it, what it's like to be out there in just a light outfit and it's 20 degrees or less outside. And
Right.
you get a flat tire.
that's why I live in Hawaii, so I don't have to deal with these issues.
We rarely have to deal with these issues in Oklahoma. Like I said, I think last year we got a little bit of an ice storm. It didn't hit directly me where I live in southern Oklahoma, but our electrical supply lines got hit, further up north,
Yeah.
and that put us out of electricity for a day, or I think 2 days, and it still did not affect me really because I heat my house with wood. Man, the only thing, it got boring. I was pretty bored, but I was comfortable. I did not have to really worry about anything else other than when am I going to get my YouTube back up, So, like I said, Hawaii, come over in the winter, even in the winter.
I
It
don't
was 70.
own
It
Long
was,
Johns, dude.
hey, it was 70 today. It was 70 today, and it's January. It's early January.
What's it going to be
70.
at night? Well, how low cold is going to be at night?
Last night was actually 60.
We
It was
get
61
tornadoes.
last night.
We get tornadoes all the time, as well as you get more ice storms than what I get over my way. We get them, just not as often as northern Oklahoma does. And the worst part about the ice storms is, unlike, let's say, we get a foot or two of snow, is you can see the snow. You cannot obviously see that 1/64th of an inch of ice that covers everything and will turn
Right.
your car into a little child's plaything.
Yeah, you'd be spinning down the highway instead of driving down the highway.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't realize too, right now, today, the fire danger here in Oklahoma across the state, I'm not saying, just where I'm at or just over here, across the state, the fire danger was extremely high. And yeah, we did get a bunch of rain and a bunch of ice the other day, but it doesn't matter. When that sun comes out, that grass is dead and that wind starts blowing, it's a blow dryer. I mean, it'll dry out the grass, those surface fuels. It'll dry it out, and somebody starts a fire or their fire's accidentally ignited, and we got to go fight fire. And guess what happens? We get every one of our fire trucks stuck in the mud, and they wonder why.
I was out today practicing my Heaven 6 Cali Flow, or Broken 8 Heaven 6, my Filipino fighting sticks for like about 20 minutes out back by the pool today. Just because I hadn't done it in so long. I think I'm going to try and do that a little more this year. For no apparent reason, just it feels good getting the flow. I mean, it's like riding a bicycle once you do it and you got it all, so you don't have to think about it then and then never forget it. But it felt good to get out and do it again. I did that because the people that own Quinn's are Filipino, the corner bar like where I live, Quinn's, and it's I don't know if an Irish pub, but people that own are Filipino. So I was talking to the owner's sister, who's like one of the cooks there, and so she didn't know anything about this because she's Filipino, but she's not from the Philippines. She was born in Oahu, lived in Hawaii, so she didn't know her own heritage and stuff as far as karambits or stick fighting or anything like that. So I tried to introduce her a little bit to it. I don't know how much success I had, but I showed up there it's the first football I've ever watched, was because I haven't watched football in the last 2 years at all. But since it was in a bar anyway, and it was going to be on anyway, and she wanted me to bring by my fighting sticks to show her, and I just had watched a little football and had papaya with vanilla yogurt and some granola on it for breakfast, so kind of healthy thing, and some coffee with Bailey's, shot of Bailey's in it, and watched a little bit of football. It was fun watching, but I'm not gonna go back and watch it on my TV or give them any extra ratings. And
Hey, Hawaii, I gotta
Yeah.
ask you a question. You ever drank Bailey's from a shoe?
Bailey's from what?
Have
A
you ever
shoot?
drank Bailey's from a shoe?
What kind of shoot?
A shoe.
A shoe? No, I've never drank Bailey's from a shoe. I had a B-52 yesterday, though, and if you're not familiar with that, it's like a 3-layer shot drink. It's like the bottom layer is Kahlua, the Bailey in the middles. Bailey's in the middle, and the top is Grand Marnier orange liqueur. So it's like 3 different colors.
I wonder how many people got that. You got there's a video on YouTube. I don't know if you remember. It's an old BBC comedy called a comedy show called The Mighty Boosh. They did a little bit called Old Greg. It was hilarious, and that kind of that kind of put him on the spot. Although the show's since been canceled, I think was that a 2007, 2006
Why would somebody drink
show?
Bailey's from a shoe?
2005.
You got to watch that. When you get done, get on YouTube and look up Old Greg, the Legend of Old Greg, and just watch the full video. Yeah, I'm Old Greg. You gotta watch that. It's hilarious. They got a few of those. Old Greg, the Legend of Old Greg, the Nightmare of Milky Joe, and the Crack Fox.
Okay, I'll add that to my list of things to watch on YouTube. I still have to catch up on your videos.
So HBT, I got a question for you. The Pat, from let's say November onwards, have you had any things you've added to your silver collection?
No. The only thing I've really added has been to my preps has been number 10 cans of Mountain House. I know you like to make fun of me for keep talking about number 10 cans of Mountain House, but that's really the only thing I've added.
Well, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean,
yeah,
rice and beans will get is easy because of the bulk, but it also will get very boring. So I think having a combination of, it doesn't have to be Mountain House, but rice and beans plus something else for variety.
Yeah, I've added. I like more than doubled my number 10 cans of the Mountain House and Augustin Farms stuff.
Yep, I get some of that as well.
Sometimes it's like just freeze-dried pineapple, freeze-dried strawberries, or I think I have one of their number 10 cans of just brown sugar for my oatmeal, but I like more than doubled my food prep. So I'm getting near 6 months of food. I mean, maybe I'm there if I really stretch it, but I probably need a little more to get to 6 months, really. And
that's where with cans, it's hard to get there because not all the time, but most of the time, the number 10 cans are only fractionally filled.
Yeah.
I mean, you think you're getting a big can, and you do get a big can, but most of it is space.
Right. Well, you get the can. Yeah.
Yeah, and you got 18 ounces, but
yeah, I hear you. But go ahead.
I forgot about something that I saw at Walmart yesterday, and I'm glad you mentioned Mountain House. In the grocery section at Walmart yesterday, we've got where I live. It's a small Walmart. The town has only got one, and it's not really a big one. It's not you can't get a big variety of stuff, but they actually had a I can't remember the brand of the name, but they actually had one of them 2-gallon, maybe a 1-gallon pail of some kind of emergency food ration, a 48-hour 4-person food ration.
Is it those buckets or those pails?
It was a square pail. It wasn't a name brand. It was some I want to say I don't know, like Aaron's or something like that, or some different weird brand.
I've seen a number of different companies making. Again, it's a square pail kind of a thing, and they're doing, and there's variations from a 4-person for 3 days, or or just or it's 4 breakfasts for a week, or just different variations, but out of that same size thing. Yeah.
In fact, that's another thing I just now remembered is Wise Foods, I think is. Let me see.
Yeah,
Wise
I've got
Company.
some stuff up with Wise Foods.
Yeah, they're doing a free sample right now.
That's probably that one that's probably they'll give you the bland one that I talked about one time.
Chili Mac.
No, not that one. I'll get it. It's like the veggie pasta or something. It's supposed to be creamy veggie pasta, I think it is, and it was so bland. It was like it will keep you alive because technically it's food, but if you had to eat that to stay alive, like for more than one day, you just want to jump off of a cliff and end it all because it's so bland. I know it qualified as food, but that's what like you get. I'll go get it out of the pantry because it's like the last thing I will ever eat. And like everything else would have to be gone before I.
I've got it right. I've got it in my hand. Is it creamy pasta and vegetable rotini?
Could be. Let me see it. You have to turn it in camera.
I just now opened this package.
I can't tell. Mine had like a picture on it. It wasn't the white package. Let me go grab it real quick. I'll be right back.
The last one I did was the chili mac and cheese, I believe, and that thing was. Of course I tried to do it in the bag that it came in, and it specifically the direction says, bring 1 cup of water to a boil, empty package into boiling water, and I didn't do that. I just emptied the boiling water into this package, and it didn't turn out good at all. And so, of course, I got a phone call from the company, from Wise, later on, asking me, kind of giving me an interview, asking me questions about, what I thought about it. And I told them straight up, I said, I am a prepper. And, when I think of stuff like this, I expect to use this as the serving container. In an SHTF situation, we're not going to be able to wash dishes as often as we can today. Every day we can throw them in the dishwasher or let them soak in the sink for a little bit.
Put a number 10 can in your backpack.
There you go. Even stuff like that, is not entirely readily available because nowadays, what does everything come in these days? Everything comes in pouches. It's so hard nowadays to find, like coffee, for example, used to come in a number 10, one of them steel number 10 cans. Now it comes in a red or whatever color company, whatever color brand it is, red or blue. It comes in a plastic 1 gallon, can.
Well, the good thing about living in Kona is there's a lot of companies and a lot of people that have coffee farms. That one of the guys at the bar sold me he has a little farm on his. He has like 50 coffee trees on his property, and he bags them and has somebody roast them, and he sold me a big 1 pound bag for $20. It's like, thanks, man. I thought that was a pretty good deal, and it was good Kona coffee. But anyway, here's this one that's so bland. I'm advising everyone not to get this one, and this is probably what they'll send you. I mean, it will if you're like starving and you're like going due to lack of nutrition, you're just blacking out and stuff. This will keep you alive, okay? But it is so bland, you won't enjoy being alive if you have to eat this. And it says creamy. It's not. It's watery. I mean, I followed it makes a lot of food that will keep you going. But I mean, it's like I couldn't think of any way to save this. There's nothing they could put in this that would make it more flavorful. It's just, they should have just, I don't know why. I hope they don't send this out as samples because, I understand this is like survival eating, not gourmet eating, but this is so bland. I couldn't even figure out. I was like, please, Lord, if this is all I have to eat, just end it somehow for me. Let a tiger come along, and at least I'll taste better than this thing.
let's compare ours because I think it's the same thing. Mine says creamy pasta and vegetable rotini, and then it's pasta with carrots, zucchini, peas, and a creamy chicken flavored sauce.
This says creamy vegetable pasta, rotini, and a garden vegetables and a creamy bechamel sauce.
Look for a product number because that'll tell you if it's literally the identical product.
Where would the product number be?
I'm thinking it's going to be a W number. The W number I have is 29046.
Manufacture date.
It should be right there on that same stamp. Because this one says 725.18.
It's so small. I think I'll need to get my reading glasses to read it, or maybe not. W28306 or 5.
Okay.
What's yours?
So 29046.
Okay, so it's different. So this says W28305 or 6, and then V2. So they have more than one version of it.
It looks like it.
There are survival food companies out there that are literally don't have a product with their name on it, but they make products for 5 other companies, and they just switch bags, or switch recipes and then change bags. I mean,
well, I'll say this about it: it's technically food, and it will keep you alive, but that's it.
But if you're doing rice and beans and looking to that stuff as the today will be my night out, so to speak, or my better tasting food, that would be an extreme disappointment.
Yeah, I'm not saying all Wise food is as bland as this. This is the only one Wise food I've tried. I have some other stuff that I haven't tried from Wise food, but I'm just saying if this is what they send you, like, don't expect taste.
Would you guys agree that Mountain House, as far as taste, and of course it's not going out to a restaurant, but at least that's what we're comparing it against.
Well,
I've never, be honest with you, I'm gonna put my word in. I can't give any advice because Wise is the only one that I've tried, and even then it was not anything special.
Okay. So why did you not try something different before you, in other words, buy like small little purchases and then until you found something you liked and said, okay, now I'm going to put $200 in?
Because mostly at Walmart, the only things that they really have is breakfast stuff like biscuits, sausage and biscuits and gravy. Just add water and that, I don't mind breakfast, but I don't like the idea of breakfast in a pouch like that. It's just really puts me off.
I've heard good things about the Mountain House biscuits and gravy, so I bought a number 10 can of it, and it hasn't got here yet. So that was the last thing I bought was some more number 10 Mountain House cans, like on New Year's Eve. That was the last thing I did for 2018, and it hasn't got here yet. So,
and there's no company that makes everything. Every product they make is fantastic. I mean, they all have stuff that they don't do very well.
Yeah. So I'm hoping Wise has some other good stuff, but
let's all be realistic, though. I mean, we're eating food out of pouches and 5-gallon buckets. I mean, can we really expect it to be decent tasting?
No, absolutely not. But compare it to, let's say, camping food that did not need to be refrigerated. That's what I think we're kind of comparing it to.
Right. And I did a video a while back on homemade MREs, and I need to do an update video because I actually, I've got a couple of them left, but those things that I ate, those Campbell's, like some kind of Campbell's creamy pasta, chicken or something like that, and that paste Mexican beans and rice. I'm gonna tell everyone that's watching this video, do not get those. Those things are dog turds. Yeah, it's got some different spices and seasonings in it, and supposed to be Italian, pasta, creamy chicken and pasta, or supposed to be Mexican this and that, but they tasted the same. They tasted really, really highly of chemicals. Like I don't know if I would call it a chemical taste, but it was they were all really bitter and really crappy.
What's good in those convenient pouches is
beans.
The fish. They're like the Star-Kissed or Star of the Sea or Chicken of the Sea or whatever, and they have tuna or pink salmon, and that on a cracker or that on a piece of bread with a piece of lettuce and or something like that, and that's pretty damn good. And it tastes fresh, it tastes good, and especially if you can have it cold. And I like the jalapeno tuna from Star. I don't know if I forget which brand.
Star-Kissed.
Yeah, it could be that one. Or either that or Chicken of the Sea, I forget. But so I always have a bunch of those. I don't need to refrigerate them, but I like when I eat them, I like to have them cold. So But that seems like pretty convenient protein.
I think
To carry
out of those
around with you.
MREs that I made, the best thing was those chicken. I don't like fish. I don't like fish at all. So I went with the chicken. The best thing out of all those was the lemon pepper chicken. The biggest portion of that thing, that full meal, pretty much.
Mhm.
That was, the biggest portion. Yeah, it's going to get you by, just like that, just like that Wise creamy pasta thing. It's going to get you by in an emergency situation, but it's going to taste like crap doing it. And that's what that's what the best part of those MREs was that chicken of the sea thing that chicken Star Kissed or whatever chicken.
Let me ask you guys
Yeah,
a
that-
question, and this is for everybody: is whether it's rice and beans or something else. What are things that, because even these prepackaged things, we may need to add something to them to get them to taste a little bit better or acceptable. What are, I'm going to call it, general dry spices that you would want to consider prepping to either add to rice and beans or possibly add to other things so that it's a little bit more tolerable?
Tony cherries, but it's salt. High salt.
Wrongo.
Why?
I'm going to tell you right now, this is the stuff.
Dash.
The stuff right here.
Dash,
Slap
whatever.
your mama. It tastes so good, makes you want to slap your mama. I put
Slap
this
your
on
mama.
everything. It's just what it's called. Slap your mama.
I've never
It's a
seen
Cajun
that.
season.
Okay, well, that's maybe the product name, but actually, what is it? Is it
It
what
is
category?
salt. No, it's salt. It's salt, red pepper, black pepper, and garlic. And I really think it's got some other different flavors into it. Let me
That's
see if I
all
can
you
get-
need, man. That's all you need.
There's the ingredients right there. No MSG, all natural.
Spicy meat additive, so to speak? Would that be correct?
Probably.
I mean, I've never seen that stuff. That's why I'm asking.
Where do you get slap your mama?
Yeah, where does one
Walmart.
find slap your mother?
Amazon, of course.
Amazon.
You can find it on Amazon. But I go, we've got, the town north of me, they've got a little grocery store. We get it from there. And it's a small kind of a salt shaker sized bottle. But we got this bigger bottle from Walmart. And of course, like I said, I put that stuff on everything. Bacon and eggs, refried beans, brisket, ice cream, milkshakes. It's all good.
So
I
how
like-
many ounces is that, and what did it cost you at Walmart?
This is a 8-ounce.
And that's
Can-
the big one?
It's the bigger one. It was like, how much? About $2 or $3. It's
Dash. I
fairly
like
cheap.
Dash. Has anybody tried that one?
Oh, Mrs. Dash is just Miss Dash goes on everything. It's the same thing. I mean, I'm as you guys may know, I'm Mexican, so the spicier the better for me. But yeah, Mrs. Dash, I'm a seasoning kind of person. Garlic, Camino, salt, pepper. I spices out the wazoo. I love spices. So anything you can turn a piece of dog poo into a 5-star dinner just from seasonings and spice. I'm telling you.
I just
Yeah.
decided against visiting Oklahoma.
Yeah, well, if I ever happen to meet you on the road, just remind me to keep going.
Yeah.
Don't buy from a Mexican vendor selling from like a little food thing, push cart.
Just a little refried beans. That's all.
And the reason I ask about that stuff is, as an example, spices that contain oils will go rancid over time.
Correct. Yeah. All joking aside, this is all natural. Kosher, no MSG, and the only ingredients, like I said, is salt, red pepper, black pepper, and garlic.
It's kosher.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's yeah. So I don't know. I don't know about all what all that stuff. I'm not too sure about the kosher diet, but yeah. Given that it's something that goes on Cajun food, that's really something you would not even expect. But
So what
but
would
yeah,
be-
it's Go ahead.
What would be a dry spice that just by itself, with not a combination of spices, that what I'll call that's available to Mexicans that either are ethnically Mexican or they've just moved up here, that they would like in their food?
It begins with a C, I think.
Camino.
Yeah,
Camino or cumin.
Camino.
Depends. Camino is the Mexican word of cumin. That's
Can you tell me how to spell cumin?
Cummin.
Yeah, I
Cumin.
think that's how you spell it. These are my two favorite spices.
Goya and what's that other one? I can't.
We got
There we go.
adobo and
Italian.
Italian seasoning.
Yeah, that Goya is it's a pretty good brand too. I mean, of course it's Mexican brand, but hey, some of the best stuff comes from
cumin,
Mexico.
that's like a pepper plant ground up.
It's Camino or cumin. I don't know which one the Mexican word is, cumin or Camino, but it's a herb or it's a seed, is what it is. Some kind of seed. It's I want to say it's an herb. That is what it is.
Okay, so
Use
it's either a
Wikipedia.
seed or a leaf. Obviously, it's ground up, and does it come in larger containers or just small ones like the 8 ounce or less?
I worked in a restaurant, so you can get them in gallon. Those gallon connie sauce jugs. You can get them in that, or you can get them in little shakers.
And if you were to combine that with, I'll say rice and beans, would it significantly enhance the flavor?
That is most. If you go to a Mexican restaurant and you get that added herb flavor, that Mexican zing flavor to it, that's what that flavor is. And normally, you want to. That's something you want to constantly pair with garlic. Not salt, not garlic salt, but garlic powder or any type of garlic flavor.
Yeah, garlic powder is one of the things that I have put back in vacuum stores.
Yeah, garlic, onion. I love onion, raw and cooked and seasoned and flavored. You name it. I'm
like
a
red
big
onion.
food guy.
Yeah,
I like red
I
onions.
also have the granulated red onion also put back in stores. And it's just
Granulated.
because of the processing, it
to be honest
automatically
with you,
makes it a little easier for that longer shelf life.
Right. To be honest with you, any seasoning that you can put back will help you in the long run, because once you get a hold of these Wise foods, you're going to want to add everything and the kitchen sink to it just to make taste better.
Yeah, when you described Weiss, I never said it was bad. I said that would be an improvement because it just had no taste whatsoever. Bland was my description.
And part of the reason I go off the spices, as well as make sure you sprinkle some variation of Mountain House in it, to break up the boredom, is because I have over, let's just say, hundreds of pounds of beans and rice. It's extremely affordable. It goes a long way. It doesn't necessarily taste that great by itself, but if you add things to it, it can make it tolerable. And if once a week you have a special dinner, special lunch, meaning that's your Mountain House or something for the weekend or whatever, maybe twice a week you do something nicer than rice and beans.
Yeah, like I said, rice and beans by itself is absolutely bland and it has hardly any flavor at all. A little salt goes a long way.
A little teriyaki sauce.
I also have salt put back as well.
Yeah, but like I said, once beans and rice, that's pretty much a basis for just about any culture. It's pretty much the basis of anything, and there's different variations of it. Of course, you have Indian food, Thai food, Mexican food, Italian
start
food.
To make me hungry.
I know, right? Yeah. But no matter what variation of spices you have, a little bit will make the difference in beans and rice. Just absolutely 100%.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing was, part of a learning curve for myself is how you literally double the food weight because of the adding of the water. So if you have 25 pounds of rice, that's going to be 50 pounds of cooked rice.
Yeah, that's another thing a lot of people don't understand when they're prepping is that the amount of water it's going to take to cook these foods is going to play into your prepping. Yeah, you're still gonna ingest that moisture. You know, you're still gonna eat the cooked rice, and there's a little moisture in there. You're still gonna get out of that rice, but a lot of it's gonna still be evaporated in the cooking process. So now you've got, instead of storing 5 gallons of water per person per day for 5 people per day, or five gallons of water per person per maybe a week, a few days, whatever. Now you're having to consider adding more water to that prep just for cooking, and that's assuming
plus digesting, because for protein, you can't digest protein without sufficient water. It just won't be processed.
Right.
Well, and that's prepping a little mineral or maybe a lot of mineral oil can come in very handy.
Cooking oil, yeah, I don't know about mineral oil, but
I've never heard of that one.
Things don't move and you're in pain.
Right. Okay, I got you. Yeah, that's definitely something to keep, and this is why we have these groups, these group chats, is because that's something I never would have thought of. Anything like that, any small addition, whether it be a pint or a quart of that stuff, just to help, make your life a little easier.
If I'm blocked, I have like psyllium husk and water works for me. Psyllium husk pills and water has always worked for me. But I won't go into the whole post-surgery where I had 10 days without a bowel movement, which is like standard after they pump you full of like a gallon of morphine or whatever. But anyway, That was a whole nother thing. And I was going crazy because I was begging, please go, let me have a psyllium husk. And they were like, the doctor said it was okay if I took a psyllium husk pill, but the nursing staff wouldn't let me have it because if they weren't allowed to hand out any quote drugs that weren't from the hospital pharmacy, that they couldn't, I couldn't just send somebody to Walmart to pick me up some psyllium husk and bring it into the hospital and have them give it to me because it was against their rules, which were set out by their lawyers. So there I am, like suffering, like 10 days without a bowel movement, and like, please just let me take one psyllium husk. Like, no, I'm saying we can't give you any drugs that aren't from the pharmacy because that's their rules. And the doctor said to, but it's not a drug, it's food. It's like, no, you're using it as a drug. It's like, I was going insane.
But even then, let's just look at a plumbing system, not the human system. And let's say, you think you have a clogged sink drain, but you don't. It's somewhere down further in the system. Putting something that's going to address the clog at the drain when that's not where the clog is, it's much further down and deeper in the system. You need to use a different sort of solution to solve that problem.
I was thinking Cloud Plumber get a snake.
Well, again, but it has to come in from another end of the piping system.
Colonics.
They do work, but again, if you didn't store it, where are you going to get it from now?
Well, it took me like a week to get Squibb to agree to have toilet paper.
Okay, so when I was out hunting at Dusty's farm, I was walking around his field. There's corn cobs everywhere, and I'm going, no way, dude. No way.
Yeah, I've heard that same corn cob theory, and I think any modern human, we would sooner, do anything than take something that's rock hard. It's just gonna shave your most tender spot
and sodomize ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the excuse that Dusty was saying that the Native Americans did it. Well, I read this complete book, which I'm going to recommend to everybody, The Journey of Crazy Horse, and it didn't mention corn cobs at all. I got to tell you.
I think that's an old wives' tale.
Goodness.
If anything, corn husk.
This is a good book. The Journey of Crazy Horse.
Yeah, maybe he meant husk and he just kept saying cob to fuck with me.
Yeah.
Joseph,
Like,
but
hey,
Joseph,
Squib, go out to the field. Yeah, do what I said with that corn cob. And he's there taking pictures.
so it's by
No,
Joseph
maybe you're right. It's a husk.
III, Joseph M. Marshall III, author of The Lakota Way, A Lakota History, The Journey of Crazy Horse. This is a really good book. I'm going to recommend it to anybody that's interested in Crazy Horse. And there's a really good hunting story in here, and a bunch of good stories about Crazy Horse. But anyway,
You know, Dano, in SHTF, sanitation is going to be an issue, and I would think that it would be so easy to contract dysentery or something like that, that getting sick would clean you out.
Oh yes.
Unfortunately, with
will, but
possible
not in a
dire
good way.
results.
Yeah, it'll definitely clean you out, but not in a good way. And that's another good point. You know, once you have, you know, any type of gastric issues such as that, you know, trying to keep it a little classy, but once you start losing fluids either way, through either end, then you
get
now have
dehydrated.
another. Yeah, you
Yeah,
have
you get
another
dehydrated.
dehydration problem.
Because what you
So
want
that's-
is balance. You don't want imbalance in either direction. That's bad.
So you're saying eating
Absolutely
beans and
correct.
rice every day is bad for you?
Well, you don't want
No,
imbalance.
not necessarily for you. Maybe for the people around you, eating beans every day might not be great, but
But then again,
It's-
our standards of what is socially acceptable will need to change, whether we like it or not.
right. No, but looking at beans on a health level, they are really good in protein. They have good fats in them. There's a lot of good stuff that comes from beans. Let's see, the iron, they're high in iron, I believe, and fiber, of course. So, you know, that's a lot of
they have some
beans are
protein
going to
in
be a
them.
big thing. Yeah, beans are going to be a big thing in SHTF situation. I mean, look at third world countries. Even to this day, chickpeas, which is a form of bean, they make hummus out of it, or just eat chickpeas.
Falafel, yeah.
Yeah.
It's basically fried
Um,
ball of chickpeas.
South America, you know, some of the or Central America, some of the the more impoverished countries down there, their entire diet revolves around beans. I mean, for example, Mexico, they're known for beans. So, you know, beans are a big thing in more impoverished countries. So, even though that we are a thriving, well, I wouldn't necessarily say great these days. We are a great country, and I wish things would go back to better. But even though that we have the luxury of eating anything we want, anytime we want, you know, we have to look at these other countries that are going through this on a long term. This is their livelihood. Nothing's ever changed, and nothing will change for these people. We've got to look at them and use that as a learning example. What are they eating? You know, when they can eat, what are they eating? Beans and rice. You know, it's mostly their main food source.
They don't have 100 or 200 cans of number 10 cans of Mountain House set back.
Right, and they don't have a town full of Taco Bells, Taco Casas, Taco Ticos, you know, restaurants, you know, out the wazoo.
Del
They
Taco.
have to get by. Yeah, they have
there's
to get
a ton
by
of
with whatever they can.
So I
tacos
think that's
stand
why
on
it's
every corner.
important to find a source that you're comfortable with on currently, and let's say once a week or whatever you can fit in your rotation, is to literally study what's going on and how are people surviving in Venezuela, because it's a modern times example of what this might look like.
Yeah, let's hope not, but because Venezuela's pretty bad off.
Yeah, but as far as like, do people barter? Yes or no? How do they barter? I mean, those some things, because they're used to a fiat.
I saw
currency,
something-
which is we are.
I saw something on bartering today on YouTube. It was basically they had 10 rules on how to barter in the shit hits the fan scenarios. One was don't barter at your own residence. Go somewhere else to meet someone somewhere else. Never barter where you live, because people will know where you are. And then was that there's some other rules where don't bring everything you have. Just bring with you whatever you'd be okay with losing if something goes wrong. Don't show everything you have. So like put what you want to trade in like a different. Don't bring it all in like one big backpack of stuff that you want to trade, and then dump it out and say, "Here's everything I have that I want to trade," because whatever they have that you want, the price is going to be everything that you have. So like have let's say you have some antibiotics or something, you put that in one pocket, or let's say you have some ammo, you could put some a box of ammo in another pocket in your overcoat or something. But then just pull out and say, well, I have this to trade, and then haggle with just one thing, and then be like, well, this is all I got, you know. And then if you just dump everything in one bag out, then they're going to want it all for whatever they have. And the other rules are don't go alone to wherever it is you're going to go, and get there early to put eyes on the
base
barter area. And I'm trying to remember everything that they thought about this for a while before they made this
Sounds
video.
like a combination of what to do at a gun show and how to sell your stuff on Craigslist.
Well, except that you didn't have to worry about like people sneaking up on you, hitting you behind the head at a gun show, you know, and then taking your pocket of money or whatever. That doesn't happen at gun shows?
Don't go alone. Take this.
Well, I think what Squib said is very valid. I mean, those two things are as a bare minimum, the rules that apply to those two sorts of modern transactions here in the USA would absolutely apply to a disaster here in the USA, plus some that we have yet to discover or figure out. And I guess that's one of the things is be flexible in your mindset.
Bartering, how does that have to do with bartering? But
no, as far as like rule, you mentioned like 10 rules or whatever. Be flexible that there may be a rule 11.
I didn't even think I caught all 10 of them because.
Well, I know you did.
Are we going to go into the whole bartering for precious metals thing again?
Damn it, Squib.
There may be a time for some things, but that time may not be right at the beginning. Maybe that's a month or 2 or 3 or more down the road.
Yeah, if there's an economic reset and the fiat currency is no good anymore, and they'll come up with some new fiat currency, and then you'll be able to take your gold and silver and trade it for whatever the new fucking currency is, and it'll be worth something, and whereas your old paper won't be worth anything. So
that's only if the new currency has something that gives it value that the old currency didn't have.
Well, it'll probably be most likely the same thing, is because the people with all the guns that call themselves the government said so.
I mean, if it's the same old fiat with a different picture on it, that doesn't make it any better.
I know. Don't expect me to like it or anything.
Go for it. I understand that.
Hey, Bitcoin's over 4,000, so I'm not complaining.
Well, it also was over 19,000.
All those dollar bills with Reagan's face and Trump's face on it aren't any good. Aww.
Well, I get a little dash dropped into my crypto wallet every day, and I did sign up for bit.tube, and so I'm gonna I registered and I hit the transfer all your videos. So they're busy uploading all my videos onto BitTube but they have some weird currency that I never heard of called like Tube. And so I haven't even researched any of that, but anything's better than YouTube stage at this point.
That sounds a lot like the Steemit program. The same thing that Steemit does. The only thing is they're trying. The last time I checked, they were trying to set up something where we can actually upload videos to them as well as
D2,
right now.
They did D2, but the problem with Steemit is that it's centralized and only the whales make money, and the little guys have no way to really make any steam off of their it's just impossible. It's only the large whales actually can make money on Steemit, so there's no point in doing anything really. And as far as if you're just in it for cryptocurrency, you get paid, you're not going to.
The exact same thing on Wall Street in an initial public offering. You may know that this new company is going to be great, but there's no way in hell you're going to get it at that price. All the big guys are. But if it's truly something good, that doesn't mean you shouldn't buy it later at a slightly higher price.
Well, but if it's supposed to be a social media platform and you can't make any headway, then nobody's going to bother to try it. It won't be a social media platform. It'll be a whale platform. And so that's why Steemit has kind of failed, in my opinion. And but I mean, I still have a Steemit account. I log on like once every 3 months. You know,
that's more often than I do. I haven't checked my Steemit account like. It's probably been a year.
Yeah, and that's because it's probably because there's just no way to make any headway on that for like a small guy. If you're not a whale, you aren't going to do very well. So you're not. There's no that you lose a lot of motivation. But we'll see how BitTube goes. If it's any better or not. Maybe it's no better. But it doesn't. I didn't see any downside
in every major system, whether it's the stock market, the bond market.
I made a few $100 off of YouTube before they, put a 1,000 subscriber limit, and I'm like almost there, but it's like I just don't. I'm almost there, but I just don't care anymore. So.
Yeah. I think before they started demonetizing everybody and putting up stupid, goals is what they would call them. I think I got like 9 cents out of YouTube.
I think I got $1,000, but basically they built a wall, and you have to breach the wall. And
the first wall was even if you think you've earned $50, you haven't earned shit until you get to the payable amount, which used to be $100.
Yeah, and see now the wall back then the wall was 100 subs, and then you could monetize your everything, and it would be open for business. Now it's like 4,000 hours and 1,000 subs. It's ridiculous. It's like, I mean,
I have
mine's not big enough.
I have 950, but I have I'm not motivated to really give a crap anymore. I just do it for fun, and I get to meet and I get to talk to you guys and my friends on my Pro 2A activism and stuff, and say something about freedom in this world, in this planet of slaves. That maybe people were born to be free, or they were born free, and they need to live. People need to have the courage to live their lives like free people. But being on YouTube, it doesn't have anything to do with it, really. It's just nice to be able to talk to you guys, basically.
I think and that's a good point. And yeah, I want 1,000 subs, and I want my 4,000 hours or whatever of view time. But you know what? I think the best part of this was meeting a bunch of new people, you guys included, and then going out on these YouTubers camp out trips, twice a year. And, that's fun, meeting new people, meeting like-minded people, and getting to sit around and talk about, prepping and bounce ideas off of each other and getting new advice, almost on a daily basis is probably one of the best things that, that's the only reason I'm wanting that 1,000 subs is so that I can meet more people like that and get into more exciting stuff like that and just kind of just broaden everything. I mean, it's really awesome to just sit here and just hang out with you guys and talk for an
and
hour
it's hard to find people who would have the same interest in guns and prepping and stuff in Hawaii, because I mean there are people like that, but it's just they're not all gathered in one spot, and it's. I mean, I happened to meet a Marine chopper pilot at the pub the other day who's a veteran, and he flew choppers, and so we talked, and at least we had something in common about the Second Amendment. And him and his wife were there visiting from Oahu, Kaneohe, and but it was. Yeah, you had some, but usually it's easier to find people that you have stuff in common with on YouTube or on social media platforms like YouTube and other places than it is just at the corner pub, because I'm more likely to run into some left wing or Ocasio-Cortez kind of person there, and I have in the past. So that's what it's for. That's what it's good for. But as far as the money thing, they've built up a wall, and I don't really care if I make it over their silly wall. But they built it. So
yeah, I agree. It's really hard to find like-minded people just out in general conversation, and I think I've met like two people that I knew that I've known for years that I recently found out were preppers through my channel and just in general conversation. Didn't really really advertise hey, I'm a prepper, but it's more like talking about getting ready for stuff, and they're like, oh yeah, I do that, I'm a prepper. And oh really, then you get a conversation going and stuff like that, and it's really cool. And this person asked me, she said, why do you advertise that on YouTube? Like, why do you tell people that on YouTube? And I my idea of it is the more people that I can reach on YouTube, and I know there's millions of prepper channels out there, but maybe maybe the first time anybody sees my channel, that'll get them interested. And maybe I've got an idea that somebody else doesn't. And the more people that I could teach certain things to, and that's why mine is specifically the Oklahoma Prepper, because my preps are specifically for Oklahoma. We have, tornadoes and wildfire. We have certain plants, and we have certain edible plants here. We have certain poisonous plants, edible animals that are good for, food, and some that are not. So, that's my thing about it. The more people I can teach, how to prep and how to survive on their own, that's the less people that I have to fight when the shit hits the fan, and people start coming to me. It's like no. And another thing is I was asked recently as well, where am I going when the shit hits the fan? Where's my bug out location? If I have to, I have 3 bug out locations within a mile of my house right now, and I have several others, a distance away, quite a ways away. But my primary plan is staying home. Now, why would I do that? Because I live in such a small town that nearly everybody hunts, everybody fishes, everybody has a garden, everybody is self-sustained either way. They may not call themselves preppers, but when shit hits the fan, they're not out looting. They're happy. They're at home enjoying their cup of coffee, doing whatever, because they already know how to survive on their own. So there's no point in bugging out. Now, the closest city, what I would call city, about 25,000 people, is about 30 miles away. Now, if they were to branch out and go, looking, chances are they're going to go to the next biggest city, which is 15 miles away from them, and just kind of they're just going from city to city looting, and not really if they come this way, there's nothing for 100 miles.
It's like every time there's like a hurricane in Hawaii, it's like everybody and their brother shows up at Walmart, and they'll be out of water, out of toilet paper, out of Spam, and out of rice. but if they just went to Safeway, they'd actually have all that stuff there, but it would cost a little more. But it's like everybody just piles into Walmart like the day before the hurricane comes. And they literally wait till the day before the hurricane hits, or like an hour before the hurricane makes landfall, before they even think of starting to like have water, bottled water, anything, any kind of a prep. And it's just so cool to like, if I wanted to go to Walmart, it would just be to watch the insanity of all these people.
It's a fun show. It's a shit show. And here's the thing, and I agree 100% with you. That's the problem with a lot of people. How often, how much of a day's notice, how many days notice do you guys have that a hurricane is coming?
Usually a week.
A week. Okay. A week. Okay,
But
at least.
you could say you have a hurricane season. It's the same thing every year. It's like how much you noticed you have the New Year's Eve is happening.
Right. But, and that's another thing. But, 90% of the people, I would say 95% of the people do not prep. They live day to day. If, power goes out, they're screwed. Okay. But these guys, even in Florida or, I'm not going to single out any one state, but, these hurricane prone areas, people end up stranded in their houses, on the roofs of their houses, waiting for rescue to come and help them, save them, and bring food and bring water and bring this and that. But why should that even be happening? We live in Tornado Alley, and that's some things I'm prepping for. A lot of people have food and water down in their storm shelters. We already know because tornadoes are more frequent here than hurricanes are, in hurricane prone areas, but they're more unpredictable. We may get, the weatherman a week from now saying, or a week ago saying, hey, you guys might get a little shower. And then today, we've got tornado warnings everywhere, and, they may or may not drop. But, we don't know until it's happening that, it's too late. So we prep it well in advance, and I don't understand. I just don't understand why, these hurricane prone areas, people are stranded on the roofs of their houses, calling 911, putting Facebook posts out saying, hey, we're stranded at this address in this town. Somebody send help. And next thing you know, 911's blowing up from 4,000 people shared the message. It's calling, Miami 911 saying that there's this person stranded in this address. Now you've got X amount of people tying up the line for one person that should have already been out of there 2 days before it even hit.
And the thing about Hawaii is that, I think last year, I don't know, did we have 20 hurricanes that were either near misses or partial hits? And it's like, okay, we have hurricane season every year. And I got to say, it's like the same thing. It's the same problem we're going to have if Deutsche Bank goes down. Except it's like nobody is prepared for it. Like nobody. And so that's we don't need it. There's no reason we don't need like cryptocurrencies right now. We don't. There's no reason to have them except for when we need cryptocurrencies. When the banks close and fiat, it'll just be, it's closed. It's over. Forget it. You have nothing now. And what are you going to use as a means of exchange? And then you need cryptos. And if you don't, then they'll be very hard to get. So yeah, it's hard to get bottled water like 30 minutes before landfall of a hurricane. Your chances of being able to find any is going to be really, really low. Now I've got my own little water countertop distillation machine. So I don't need to go wait at a store in a 2-hour line to get like one little bottle of water for $20 or something, because I can make my own.
That's another thing that a lot of people don't understand. You're obviously on an island, and the only water around you, if all the water is gone, is salt water. But how much of that, Hawaii, if all the water was shut off right now, how much water could you drink?
Well, I could convert the entire pool, the whole pool full of water, through my dehydrator. The electricity you've got a water distillation system. Yeah.
You've got unlimited source of water. As long as you keep that thing going, you can go out and get salt water and distill it into fresh drinking water.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one thing. That's something that you have that a lot of people don't know the skill of, or even have the thought of it. It doesn't matter where you are, how contaminated water is, as long as you have a way of distilling it from salt water, then you've got an unlimited supply of drinking water. Just go out every once in a while to the beach, grab you a couple of buckets full of water, and bring them home, and you've got water for a few days.
Yeah, as long as nobody raids my house in between here and the beach, and it's only a block to the beach. So, but I'd probably just go to the pool because that's full, and that'll last for a while, I think. And
There you go.
and distill the pool water. There's a whole pool full of water.
And all the kids piss in it.
Well, but that'll be distilled out of it.
Yeah.
You could. I think I remember Waterworld when he was drinking his own. It's Waterworld starts where he pees into something and distills his own pee and then drinks it at the very beginning. Remember that part of Waterworld? But I haven't done that myself. But I don't plan on it. But the kids don't really pee in the pool; they just swim in it, you know. But whatever. And it's chlorinated, so. It's not my first choice to drink, but
it's there, and you'll make it work.
I'll make it work.
So,
the good thing about where I live is that the water is pumped up from aquifers and it's held in the storage stations, whatever. Up. I forget what they're called. I can't think of the word, but it's basically they're up on the mountain, so gravity flows it down. It's not really just powered by machines. It flows down from the mountains down into the. I'm at sea level.
A gravity flow system.
Yeah, so not relying on power to make the water system work in Kona. I mean, except for the motors that pump it up from the underground aquifers into the. But once it's in the water cisterns up on the mountains, it's all gravity. So that's another advantage of this particular location.
I think if you guys can, if anybody's watching, is still watching, if anybody can find it, I think the perfect show to watch would probably be Revolution. That was a pretty good show that pretty much takes our today life and throws it back to literally pre-electricity era. I think that would be a great show to kind of look at, and of course it's a TV show, but I think that show would put a lot of insight and get a lot of people thinking about how they would do certain things if electricity was, for the lack of a better word, extinct.
I'm more of a Gunsmoke fan.
Well, I mean, if you really want to challenge, just turn off the circuit breakers to your house and try and live for like 2 weeks without, or a month without any electricity and see how it goes. And it's a challenge.
For me, that is the challenge. Is what are you going to do to keep from being too bored? Like I said, in the wintertime, I've got a 12-pack of sodas sitting out on my front porch. Why is it out on my front porch? Because it gets cold at night. And it'll stay cool during the day. A lot of people don't realize, even simple stuff like that, you can do without electricity. And we've had electricity go out here before for over a 24-hour period, a couple of days. And aside from being bored out of my gourd, for lack of better words, I lived. It was boring as hell. That's the only thing about it. But I stayed warm because of wood heating. I ate because I was able to cook in my wood stove. And my food didn't go bad because I put it out on the front porch and it stayed cold. So, but yeah, of course, in a summertime, it's going to be a different story. When, you can't put food out on the front porch because it's 110 outside. But there are ways of making root cellars and stuff like that where you can store food, in just like it sounds, a cellar, like a storm cellar or some kind of outside basement that will retain the cold air throughout the day, and
Depends
you
where you
won't
live.
have to worry about stuff like that.
It can be difficult to do in Hawaii. We don't have too many
Right,
root
well-
cellars here because of the lava rock. But
Right.
you need
Yeah,
a
but,
pneumatic jackhammer to get through it.
Yeah, but you get the idea, though. I mean, and another thing is yeah, it's easy to stay warm in the winter, but what about staying cool in the summer? A lot of people don't understand that no matter where you're at in the world, and for that same example, Hawaii, if you have a jackhammer, if you dig 5 foot below the Earth's surface in any part of the world, that temperature is constant, 50 degrees, I believe. You get that 50-degree air circulating from underground into your house, then you've got homemade air conditioning with hardly any electricity, and it's literally dirt cheap.
Well,
It's
I,
just
I
a
don't
little
know
hard
if that works in I don't know how that is with lava rock. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, I literally don't know, but
That's a good point. I don't mean to interrupt, but that is a good point because rock is a great. It heats. It keeps heat in a lot more, so it would radiate a lot more throughout itself. So I don't know if you'd have to dig deeper in Hawaii than 5 foot, or what the
well, there's
temperature of the Earth is down below.
I used to live in Kapoho before it was covered in before the recent lava flow destroyed it, and the subdivisions. And it was really interesting is when people would have little homes in Kapoho, and what they would do is they would get this one guy in the neighborhood had a backhoe, and in their backyards they would have him dig a hole, and he would dig down in hopes and until he hit water, because on that sea level part of the island, that basically what happened was there were underground rivers of water that flowed through the rock that were filtered. The water basically that the clouds would roll in from the sea on the east tip of the island. They'd go up the mountain, like to near the top of the volcano. They dump all their water out at a certain elevation because the wind wouldn't push the clouds over. But when it got to, like, I don't know, 2,000-3,000 feet, it would just dump all the water, squeeze the moisture out of the air, and it would all go down underground into the rock crevasses and flow through the volcanic crevasses downhill, but down back to the ocean, where Kapoho was right on the ocean. And so we have underground rivers, and if you dug down far enough, you could create a natural pool or a jacuzzi, and a lot of times it was like a hot tub, because if there's lava under the rock, then the water that would flow down from the mountain underground would drop down through the crevasses down to where the lava was, a few hundred feet below the surface, and then it would come back up as steam, and so you'd have these natural. Well, they weren't natural if you dug them with a backhoe, but there were natural ones. But this was dug. People would do this with a backhoe, and there were sanitation problems when they did this. And I'll be honest, it wasn't a good idea from a sanitation point of view, because they didn't have septic tanks. They just had people who just had cesspools. When they started building Kapoho, I mean, they didn't have any plans for large communities. It was just some shacks originally, just some shacks on the ocean in a lava flow that they thought would eventually be run over. So why put any money into it? And then after the real estate explosion, real estate bubble, and then people saw Kapoho on the internet. It's like, wow, that's a beautiful place. Let's start building expensive homes in the path of all this lava. But they would dig down, and so you could basically just dig a hole in your backyard and have the water, spring water, just flow into it, and if there was any lava underneath, and you basically have a volcanically heated pool, which was really cool, but you couldn't use it as a root cellar.
Yeah, I never thought about that, and you being pretty much living on a volcano. I mean, Hawaii's pretty much a volcano that's kind of constantly shifting. But that's a good point. I never thought about that. Being near a volcano, you kind of have the opposite effect of that. Instead of cooler air, you'd end up getting a lot warmer air. So, but of course, you live in you're near the equator, so you're in a temperate zone. So you don't really have to worry about, how you're gonna heat your house in the winter, because
Not at all.
you live in but that's a good idea for anyone that may live, for example, up around, Washington State, or around any of those volcanoes here in the States, or anywhere else in the country that have volcanoes, that live in a area where the winters are harsh and the summers are hot. So that's something to also have in mind for that type of situation too. But my question with that is, of course, with even a volcanic eruption, what were the chances of any toxic gases just seeping from the ground alone? What are the chances of that affecting anything?
About 100%. I mean,
Okay, so
well, the place was completely overrun, and until recently, just recently, the volcano stopped smoking. But Kona was where I live, on the other side of the island. The wind blew all the fog over here to Kona, and it was bad. Lots of SO2 in the air, sulfuric oxide, and
Can I interrupt for a second? I gotta get out of here.
all right. Thanks for
Also,
time.
thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're probably going to wrap up this show and do a little after chat. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Give us a thumbs up. Check out gunchannels.com, and we'll see you next week. God bless America.